Hello dear Ronins, welcome to Ronin Hood. Today it will be the versus with Araki from Yarino Enzo and Silver Dragonfly from Murasame. So first, the measurements of the Yarino Enzo Araki that you have already seen in the review of Araki. It's a 1090 grams nohi sword with 1095 carbon steel. They are really close on the weight and on the nagasa. So the tsuka maneuverability notes that were not available on the review because now it's more detailed from the review of Dragonfly. Shape, so it's 7 on 10, size 6 on 10, grip 6 on 10, solidness material 6 on 10, safety 7 on 10, design 8 on 10, quality material 7 on 10, weight 4 on 10, healthy for waist bag 6 on 10, maneuverability for tamashigiri simple cut 6 on 10, maneuverability for tamashigiri double cuts 7 on 10, maneuverability for bato simple cuts 5 on 10, maneuverability for Nitin simple cuts 5 on 10, maneuverability for Nitin double cuts 3 on 10, good value for money 6 on 10. Blade weight transfer, nagasa 8 on 10, steel 8 on 10, sharpness 9 on 10, weight 6 on 10, balance 6 on 10, sturdiness 7 on 10, swing 7 on 10, amount 6 on 10, good value for money 6 on 10. So I'm putting here the same detailed analyze notes of the Shinken to be fair for both for Araki and Silver Dragonfly. Saya, bato weight transfer rail, safety 8 on 10, grip 8 on 10, sturdiness material 6 on 10, design 9 on 10, quality material 7 on 10, weight 7 on 10, good value for money 7 on 10. It was really difficult for each one to give this so detailed notes. It could be for a different appreciation for another swordsman with a different morphology, but I think they are close from the reality. So the swords results practical plus 7 on 10, tamashigiri note 7 on 10, balance with not really fluid transfer of weight because of not really well balanced sword blade. Batodo note 5 on 10, not very good balance, fixed tsuka for waist. Nitanichi Ryu double cuts 3 on 10, very difficult with no correct balance, ask too much power, difficult to stop the blade. It's definitely tamashigiri plus in my opinion. Best fitting practitioner size Shinken weight 1m65, 1m75, good value for money 6.5 on 10. So now cutting test in the dojo. It's a razor sharp blade. We will talk about that later in the next episode about how to test with paper razor sharp edge. And now a new test with an empty plastic bottle, and it's cutting pretty well, you can see, but always this lack of balance, and you can see how my body is getting through the cut trajectory, and I'm losing my body control and my posture. So this is something that is really obvious with this Shinken all the time, and this is because of the work of the swordsmith. So the point of balance is really low. Almost all the weight of the Shinken is stuck in the tsuka, and it can make feel light for bato cuts, but we have seen and we will still see today that is not getting through Mugen Dachi Omote on bato. So it's a sword of 690 euros, and it's sold from Yarino Enzo katanamart as a sword that can be used for tamashigiri and batodo. You have seen just before a double cut with 2 times Gyaku Kesa, and with these swords double cuts are kind of enjoyable. They are easier than with other swords, and they are easier than with Silver Dragonfly for double cuts, because I think of the low point of balance. So it's a lighter sword to move than Murasame Silver Dragonfly for double cuts. This is really obvious when you practice indoor practice or when you practice outside with Omote. So these are the measurements of the Silver Dragonfly. It's 1104 grams. It's almost the same weight. There is just 14 grams of difference. This is the same carbon steel, and almost the same nagasa. There is 2 centimeters, I think 2 centimeters of difference, 2 or 3 centimeters, but it's for a person between 1 meter 60 and 1 meter 75 for the Araki, and 1 meter 65 and 1 meter 75 for the nagasa of the Dragonfly. These are the measurements you have already seen on the review of Silver. They are the same, they are really detailed, so you can watch them again if you want to have a comparison with the Araki. So it was a way of analyze the Shinken really precisely, to be really technical and fair for a versus. And it was necessary for Dragonfly because it was 2 complex swords with really great things and things that were to improve. So things that were more complicated. You have already heard that in the review of Dragonfly. The saya, of course, with good notes. So the analyze and detail analyze is really simple. I analyze the tsuka, maneuverability, the blade is weight transfer, and the saya is a battle weight transfer rail, in my opinion. If we don't care about the look, and we just want to talk about mechanic, dynamic, and practicity. So the sword results is practical plus, in my opinion, it's a 7 on 10. So their notes on the good value for money and practical plus note are really close. It's really simple because, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, Yarino Enzo is a brand that is a 6 on 10. From my first experience with the Musashi Practical and Araki sword, Araki and Yarino Enzo are a brand with a note between I would say a 5 or a 6. Here is the test with the Dragonfly with empty bottle, and the cuts a little bit cleaner because the control of my body is just better with this weight distribution on the blade of Dragonfly. You can see it just with Bato, Nukiuchi, or just Kesagiri, Tamashigiri moves. It's really obvious. There is not a 2 times cut trajectory. First time where I give so much power, and second time where my body is stuck to the trajectory and the upper part will move. So the control is really cleaner than with Araki, and I would say the brand Yarino Enzo. All their models have these specificities to, for me, not having a great balance and weight distribution on the blade. So here you are seeing again the same picture than in the review of the indoor practice, and even really heavy for me extra weight on the tsuka because of copper pieces, Fushikashira and Tsuba. You have a fluid movement with extra weight. So extra weight for Silver Dragonfly can be really not comfortable for your waist, clavicle, thorax and shoulders. So you have to make, I think, really simple moves and not double moves because it will be too complicated. Maybe if you are a bigger guy, like 1 meter 80 centimeters, it will be simpler. You can maybe try if you are really higher experienced swordsman, like 10 years old of practice. So now all the cuts of the Araki, we can see here it's all the cuts, so the missed and the correct ones. So the thing that the body posture is always corrupt by the weight distribution. This is really obvious. It's really obvious that the double cuts are better with Araki. I had like 6 tries and I had 4 success, I think, on double cuts. So something like that. And this is really obvious that it was better with Araki for double cuts, because I think a lower point of balance without extra weight on the pieces, on the tsuka. Even the tsuka is not comfortable because too thick with the menu keys, and a weight distribution of the shinken that is stuck on the tsuka, so it's not correct for the connection with the tanden in my opinion, and not correct for the extension of your move during the cut trajectory. So it was really complicated for Bato to get through the Mugendachi. That's why you have seen many little difficult cuts. Of course, the same with Nitin, because Nitin is practicing with one sword in each hand. So if it's complicated in Bato, it will be complicated in Nitin. It's really obvious, simple to understand, and you can see how the trajectory are difficult to control and overswing, because I have to transfer too much power, and then it's too difficult to stop the cuts. I had more tries with Araki with different kind of omote, but I had like 4 tries on Nitin Ichiryu double cuts, and I didn't have any one clean successful cuts, even with omote flipping in the air. So for Nitin Ichiryu, Araki doesn't make sense for me, and not so great for Bato because of this extra weight on the tsuka, not for the same reason that Silver Dragonfly, but just because of a not correct weight distribution on the blade. So I think this is a sword for just simple cuts in Tamashigiri. You can enjoy, even I think you will have to put too much power, and your posture integrity will be not I think correct, and you can try with double cuts. This is what I could say with Araki. For Dragonfly, your cuts will be cleaner, so the price is different, and I think for this it's worth it because it will be cleaner. And if you don't make, like me, tries of double cuts with one hand or double cuts with 2 hands, you will be successful with fluid cut, fluid feeling on the trajectory with this Dragonfly. If you are really big guy with big muscles, weight training, and 10 years of training in Bato, maybe you could try double cuts and Tamashigiri double cuts, but you will feel the extra weight that is really important during the dynamic, and that can cost you a little bit some pain on your wrist or different joints. So that's why I don't recommend to practice double cuts in Bato or Tamashigiri with this Shinken. You can try it, but the control will be really difficult, and the cost can be some kind of little pain. Or maybe if you are really good swordsman, you will deal with the weight and the transfer of the weight with better abilities, or maybe you will be successful. But from my point of view, the copper, even for really advanced swordsman, will be a problem for double cut. So I don't recommend to try double cuts, specifically not with Bato one-head double cuts, or even with double cuts. I think you won't feel really fine, because the maneuverability is too complicated because of the extra weight. For all of the rest, simple cuts, you will feel, I think, really good for Bato or Tamashigiri. And I think for someone who likes something that is heavy, you will have satisfaction on the weight and on the balance of the blade. So fluidity is really perceptible with the Dragonfly, and I think for the price, for simple cuts, it's worth it. And there is a huge difference of balance between Dragonfly and Araki. This is the center point of the versus. I didn't practice outside with both of them a second time because all the results were really obvious and their limits too. Each one has big limits because the Araki is not well balanced, so it's a limit. And for my back, it's not really enjoyable to try complicated moves like Bato complicated moves or Nitin complicated moves. So I was not trying to go outside a second time with the two Shinken like I usually do on Versus. It was enough interesting to talk about the results of both of them, measurements, precise analysis, and indoor practice. So the result for simple cuts in Tamashigiri are really better on Dragonfly, and I think for the price it's more logical to practice with these swords than with the other. And if you really like the look of the Araki and you it's not a big issue for you to have a not correct balance swords, so just take the Araki if you feel it. If you just want to think about practicity and simple cuts of Tamashigiri or Batodo, I recommend the Dragonfly, but be careful with simple cuts Batodo with Dragonfly. You need to have serious strong body and serious strong technicity. Now I was checking with Nitin indoor practice with these two swords how I was feeling without thinking, trying with both hands the two swords. It's really physical, that's why I didn't want to practice outside because they have both inconvenient, copper for one and unbalanced for the other one. But you can just see how it's fluid for one and the other one has a second time of cut that just bring my upper part of the body to the floor. And for the conclusion, it's a new kind of test exercise for me, a really simple one. I just have the two swords and I cut paper without thinking, without preparing my dealing with the balance of the swords, and I just change from one to the other and cut some paper. It's really interesting because there with a simple posture on the floor, I feel two things really fast is how I will be tired of the weight of the swords and how it will evolve my way of cutting. So I will lose my edge alignment just because of the weight of the swords, like a really important way of the swords on the Silver Dragonfly, or just because I will have some issues with the weight distribution like with the Araki. Of course, the result for the versus is that the Dragonfly win, but it was really close. It was really close because of inconvenience they have both, and it was not so easy because of the price and because of inconvenience to have a clear view. I think I tried my best to propose something that is obvious, that is logical, that makes sense, and as always, the balance of the swords is the most important thing. Some things that can be improved, both, I would say no copper for the Dragonfly would make a really better sword and a really better forge, and less thick tsuka for Araki could make a really better Shinken. So that's it for today. Thank you for having watched this video. I hope you liked it. Stay focused, mind sharp and body healthy, and see you soon for the next episode in Ronin Hood.